This is like my third time recording this. It's been a while since I've had to watch a more normal anime, okay? It's kind of nice to not have to think so hard when I'm watching something, looking at you fully coolly. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is a show about, well, fucking Haruhi Suzumiya, who is your typical normal high school girl, except not, because she's an omnipotent godlike figure who doesn't know she's a godlike figure at all. The whole premise of the show is basically Haruhi is this godlike being who subconsciously is able to alter reality and all this, and there's these groups of people, espers, there's time travelers, there's aliens who are all interested in her and her abilities. Some are trying to just keep watch of her so she doesn't destroy the world, others are interested in what she's able to do for some personal benefits, and those are all our main characters who make up the S.O.S Brigade, which is this club Haruhi starts to make the world more interesting. Oh yeah, and there's also our main character Kyon, he's just straight up a normal ass dude. If that premise is interesting to you at all, I'd say go check it out. I watched the show in chronological order. I know the broadcast order is how a lot of people recommend watching it. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, to sum it up, basically chronological order is the chronological way to watch it. However, when it was airing, the show did not release in chronological order. The episodes were all over the place. First episode could be part of one arc, and then another episode that was the very next one that aired was part of another arc. I didn't watch it this way, but a lot of people recommend you do. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm going to be reviewing this in the 3 different parts that make up the series, the season 1, season 2, and of course the movie The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. So let's start off with season 1. Season 1 does a really good job at introducing us to these characters, how they interact with each other, and just making us like them. In a show like this where the stakes aren't so high, which they kind of are, but I'll get into that in a second. Basically, the show is relatively pretty slice of lifey, and with a show like that, it's really important that you like the characters. If you don't, you're not going to be invested at all, and I think the first season does a good job at making you appreciate, like, and just have fun watching how these characters interact and do shit throughout the show. What I meant before by the stakes actually are kind of high. There's this weird balance in the show. What the characters are doing most of the time is actually pretty kind of whatever. They're just hanging out, they're doing random weird shit, but in reality, the stakes are high. Every time Haruhi gets a bit upset or anything happens with her mood, the world is at stake. And there's this weird kind of split in that throughout the entire show that is really interesting. But at the same time, the show never pushes that too much. Yes, Haruhi can destroy the world, but that's never like really the focus. It's just an element of the show, which I find very interesting. I think part of this can be seen how in the very first episode, nothing really happens. We're kind of just introduced to the world and these characters, but nothing crazy happens. We don't find out about any of the weird crazy shit or Haruhi being a god. It's just slightly talked about. And where I think in another show they might have really pushed that within the first episode to grab people's attention, the show decided to make the first episode incredibly normal, which I think sets a really nice base on kind of the focus of the show, that being the characters and how they interact and how this weird kind of mystery of Haruhi and her powers takes a bit of a back seat, and it's more about the characters as people. I think across the board the first season is pretty enjoyable. They're just great arcs where the characters interact, there's some funny interactions, and we kind of just get a feel for who these people are. I do especially like Kyon, the main character. I think it's great that he is the narrator for the show. It really adds a lot of a personal touch to the show. I will say though, Kyon, the way he acts, the way he talks, got a bit annoying. I'm not saying like how he sounds, but it's just what he talks about. He's always incredibly like, I don't know, like he just like downplays fucking everything. He's always the I don't want to be here dude. And he's also constantly like, Miss Asahina, which is it's this girl on the show, she's a time traveler. Miss Asahina, oh, you're so hot, Miss Asahina. Miss Asahina, you're so hot.
Honestly though, that outfit's killing me right now. My passion's going through the roof here. Shut the fuck up!
And it's just some like basic anime shit that I'm not really a fan of. That being said, I think the first season does the show really well, and I liked the interactions between all the characters, especially the 6th episode in chronological order where they're in that like zone world. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like a 8 out of 10. It was enjoyable, but at the end of the day, it did feel very much like anime. A lot of anime tropes, kind of anime things happening. I don't know how else to describe it besides that, which is personally for me makes it a bit less interesting. So when watching in a chronological order, the first season ends with the first 3 episodes of Endless 8, and the second season, the first 5 episodes are the rest of Endless 8. So let's talk about season 2 and Endless 8. Endless 8 is 8 episodes of the show, 8 episodes in a row, and each episode is the exact same plot and dialogue almost to a T. Now that being said, some people make it sound like it is literally the same episode over and over again, and they're kind of right, but as you see on screen, every single episode, the angles are different. The dialogue's a bit different. Obviously, the clothes are different. The order of events can be slightly different. The positions of characters in a shot are different. There is differences. And that's part of what makes Endless 8 so good, is that as you watch each episode, you kind of become like the main characters. We're trying to figure out why we're stuck in this loop of the same thing reoccurring. And you're trying to look like, oh shit, that's a bit different. Oh, the character said something a bit different there. Oh wait, we're at a different shot now. Oh, why is it happening in this order? Right? And you're trying to piece all these things together to maybe solve it yourself. I will say, I don't think Endless 8 is like this masterpiece of fucking anime or whatever, but I don't think it's horrible. I think it's actually pretty interesting, but I would be lying if I said I did not feel the fatigue by the 6th and 7th episode. I was about fucking done. And for the rest of the second season, I did not like it as much as the first season. The rest of the second season is the Sigh of Haruhi Suzumiya, which is this 5-episode arc where they make a movie. With that and the rest of the second season, it just felt really underwhelming in comparison to what was happening in the first. And also, the characters just felt way less likable in the second season. They felt much more like tropes, a lot of them, and their interactions with each other was fine. They had some like conflict, which I think is interesting, but they just all felt less likable. Kyon's fucking douchebaggery kind of went up a notch. Haruhi being a control freak went up a notch. And in a show where not too much is happening, having likable characters is the most important thing, in my opinion. The second season was not as enjoyable as the first. It wasn't bad by any means, but I don't think it was as good as the first season. And if the movie didn't exist and the show ended where it ended, I would have been fucking pissed. I forgot to add, but there's this element in the second season of questioning kind of the theories behind Haruhi, right? Like the whole first season and up to that point in the second season, we're constantly just believing what the S.O.S Brigade is telling us about Haruhi, but the show is kind of showing each of these kind of groups around Haruhi have their own ideas of what her powers are, what the origins of her powers are, what can they really do. And it's really cool how there's no concrete answer to that, and it's kind of left up for the viewers to decide based off what they've seen. Overall, second season, probably a 7 out of 10. It was still enjoyable. I just don't think it was as much as the first. Thank God the series bookmarks its end with The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, a 3-hour-long movie. So let's talk about that. The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya is easily, in my opinion, the best part of this entire series. Reality is changed, and Kyon is now stuck in this world where none of the characters he knows, they're there, but they don't know him. They're different. None of this weird wackiness that was present in the world where there's time travelers and espers and aliens and Haruhi is this god. None of that exists. He got transported to a normal world. And it's amazing seeing Kyon break down. I think it's done so well. I love the art. I love how he's animated, his facial expressions, his body language. It's incredibly well done because you really feel Kyon. He's breaking down. He's going insane. He's like, what the fuck is happening? You can see just how much he misses the old world and how he feels he took things for granted being in this new world. I will say the animation for the movie, it's not like God's Here. It's not like Your Name animation. It's just slightly better than the show, so nothing crazy there. But the movie, despite being 3 hours, doesn't feel too long. I was engaged the entire time. I thought it was fantastic. I'd say even the movie stands on its own. If you haven't watched the show, the movie's good. But if you watch the show, obviously you're more attached to the characters, which puts you in Kyon's shoes. Because like Kyon, you're like, why is everything so different? These aren't the people I know. This isn't the world and characters I'm used to. I think it's done really well. I love the theme of the movie of just kind of not taking things for granted, appreciating the world and the people you know. Because throughout the entire series, Kyon's always like, I just wish I was normal. Why can't things be normal? And then when things finally are normal, he realizes, wow, I complained a lot. This sucks. I want to go back to my world. And the whole movie has like convoluted fucking, you know, like time travel bullshit, but whatever. I don't know why anime loves to do time travel bullshit in movies, but I also really like how we have this character arc for Kyon as well as Nagato. She barely ever shows emotion. Throughout the show itself, we can see her slowly developing kind of human emotions and human thoughts. Be it very slight, it's happening. And I love how the movie kind of like puts that character arc to a close, and it's a really beautiful ending. That being said, I think the actual ending, while it makes sense for the movie, for the characters, it's kind of whatever. I think it could have been better, but you know, I won't complain too much. The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, absolutely fantastic movie. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I think even just as a movie, it was really good. So let's round up all the scores. We got 7, 8, and 9. So probably a mean score, right? Like our average. I'd give the whole series an 8 out of 10. The series is definitely much more, I don't mean this in a bad way, but surface level. I'm just saying this because in the past few anime I've watched, Fully Coolly, Welcome to the NHK, Evangelion. They're all relatively heady, kind of, there's a lot of subtext in those shows, or they're about a lot of like real life, like real fucking human issues. And this show isn't about this. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is still at its core an anime, and it has a lot of anime tropes, and it's still very anime-y. I don't know how else to describe it except that. Now, this isn't a bad thing, but I prefer my shows and anime to be a bit more human, I guess, and there's that aspect missing throughout most of the series. I do think the movie kind of tackles some deeper themes, some more subtext. It's a bit more convoluted, and I like it so much for that, but the rest of the show doesn't attempt that at all. That being said, it's not bad at all. I highly recommend you check it out if you're looking for a good anime to watch. And if you watched it, tell me in the comments below what you think about it. Do you like Endless 8? Do you not? And stuff like that. So yeah, this was just another unscripted anime review, third fucking take. I had to take a lot of takes of this, not because to get my thoughts out, but because the audio kept fucking up. But you know, it is what it is. The next review is probably going to be Serial Experiments Lain. I'm very excited to watch that show because I've obviously heard of it. It's pretty famous at this point, and I've really been interested in it for a long time now, so I'm very excited to watch that. If you like my videos, if you like what I do, make sure to check out my Patreon. It's one tier, $1. Yeah, besides that, I hope you had a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And you know, you got to use the classified information, because the classified information to the classified information, and then you use the classified information to classified information. You feel me?